transportation. What are the alternative means of transportation from Nnamdi Azikiwe? Either you were going to use hailing service or kabu kabu, as we say, those are parrot cabs, or Bolt and Uber, or you could get your own private ride. They claim that there's a lot of infighting amongst the cab operators, and they therefore had to halt the operations. Look, this is one of the one of the services I am most uncomfortable with across all airports in Nigeria. Car hire. They are the most expensive item on your travel plan. Now, with the increase in fuel price, a ride from the Abuja airport to the city, distance of about 40 kilometers, will cost you anything between 12,000 and 15,000 naira. 12,000 and 15,000.
Well,
and they fixed their tariffs arbitrarily. You go to Lagos airport, it's the same thing. You ask a question, they will just show you some card that they printed with their tariffs. And this is, you can say that only a few persons, but millions use the airport every year. And they sit down doing nothing, just waiting for a passenger.
They've always been exploited.
They exploit passengers, and they will tell you, oh, it takes a long time for them to make their turn because there are too many. If you are too many, then you streamline the number of operators that you have. At the end of the day, Claire, I was talking to you that day about what affects your pocket. These are the items. If you are traveling now, you say an airfare, for instance, for a 1 hour flight in Nigeria, if you get it for 75,000, you're lucky. And then you have to add one way, city road, that's the airport to town, 15,000. That's almost giving you 90,000. On the other side, again, add another. So the cost just keeps rising and rising. What will it cost you to fly, for instance, from Lagos to Abuja? What will it cost you to travel by road? The cost of traveling by road from Lagos to Abuja is almost the cost that the airport taxi guys will charge you.
All right, Kingsley, honestly, I wish we can talk more on this, but unfortunately, we have run out of time for newspaper review. But as always, Chooks the boy.
Go bouncing into the weekend.
Yes, please bounce into the weekend.
Thank you, Claire.
And make sure we see you here on Monday.
I will be here by His grace.
By His grace. All right. Have a good weekend, Kingsley. And
I'm still here. Tell Kingsley. That should be Chukwudi.
I'm sorry, Chukwudi. You see.
Director.
All right.
Young
Let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll begin our conversation.
Raft of palliatives applied for MSMEs by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let's listen to this background put together by our correspondent, Salam Jibril.
According to a 2022 report by the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEs, and the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, over 39.65 million micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, operate in Nigeria. They are said to contribute about 46.31% to the country's gross domestic product, GDP, and also account for 96.7% of businesses. Experts say these statistics underscore the importance of MSMEs to the nation's economy. They, however, maintain that these MSMEs often face significant challenges that has been hindering their success, such as the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, recessions, and the recent fuel subsidy removal, among others. In recognition of these challenges, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a nationwide broadcast on Monday this week, said that 125 billion naira will be made available to energize the sector as a key driver of growth of the economy. The president said that it was part of the federal government's effort to cushion the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy on Nigeria and its people.
Out of the sum, we will spend 50 billion conditional grant to 1 million nano businesses between now and March 24. Our target is to give a minimum of 50,000 each to 1,300 nano businesses owners in each of the 774 local governments.
The president also announced another 75 billion naira for 100,000 MSME startups at 9% interest rate payable in 36 months.
Under this scheme, each enterprise promoter will be able to get between 500,000 and 1 million at the maximum 9% interest per annum.
While many Nigerians applaud this intervention, how will the disbursement be done to avoid pitfalls of similar exercises? How far will the earmarked funds go in transforming MSMEs in Nigeria? Will the funds reach the desired targets? What more can be done towards ensuring the survival of MSMEs in Nigeria? These and more will form the crux of discussions as guests speak to palliatives for MSMEs in Nigeria shortly.
All right, so not just for MSMEs. If you are a solo entrepreneur, this program is also for you. If you operate your own business, you don't have anybody within your employment, this is a program you should stay glued to. So let me begin the introductions, and we have all our guests ready, both here in the studio and of course from our Lagos Network Center. First of all, let me welcome Mr. Lawale Fasonya, who is the Director General, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency, SMEs. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We are also glad to have within us the Executive Director, Nigeria Export Promotion Council, Dr. Ezra Yakusak. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Engineer Abdul Rashid Yerima is the President, Chairman, Governing Council, Nigeria Association for Small and Medium Enterprises. Thank you very much.
Okay, also here with us in the studios is Ogbonna Okuku. Okuku is an investment promotion expert and a regular on Good Morning Nigeria. We're glad to have you today.
All right, Good Morning Nigeria. Thanks for having me.
All right, and joining us from our Lagos Network Center, Professor Sakari Yao Olalekon. He's a professor of entrepreneurship at the Federal University of Technology, Mina. But of course, he would more appropriately to be referred to as a professor of entrepreneurship and in business and coordinator Africa Innovative Program. Professor Olalekon, we're glad to have you today.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, all our anchors over there.
All right, gentlemen, once again, we're glad to have you. Incidentally, in the last 8 years plus, we've had a number of measures that the government initiated, more particularly on account, one, of the recession in 2016, and then the subsequent recession induced by COVID and the shutdown of the entire world. And these measures, particularly targeted, for instance, at the MSMEs, were intended to help reflect the economy. We also had the SIPs, that is the social investment programs, what do you call it, N-Health, and so on and so forth, trader money and conditional cash transfer, and a whole lot of it on the one side of the ledger. On the other side of the ledger, as some persons have pointed out, we look at the quality of life and living, and unfortunately, one of the most often quoted figure has to do with the number of multidimensionally poor Nigerians, 133 million of them, in spite of those measures. So here we are, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his broadcast to the nation on Monday, recognizing the impact of the dual measures of subsidy removal and the collapse of the multiple windows of foreign exchange market, outlined a number of measures yet again. So, for starters, is it a case of here we go again? Let's begin with the DG's madam.
Well, thank you very much. And you've laid the foundation. It's unfortunate that prior to COVID, our statistics, we have over 40 million people in nano, micro, and nano, micro, small, and medium businesses. But because of COVID, the figure dropped to 39.6. And that means some of those events that plague the world has affected businesses, and it's not only in Nigeria. And then coming to the issue of fuel subsidy removal is a major concern. It's something that's going to affect MSMEs. So we have to thank President Tinubu for coming up with these measures that will really help, especially the nano businesses. Why attention for nano businesses is because no banks want to touch them. There's nowhere where they can get funds. Most of them, their capital base is no more than 20, 30,000. So injecting 50,000 into their business will go a long way to lift them from the level of poverty to assist their living standards. Because if you are running your business with 20, 30,000, you get 50,000 palliative. It means that you will be able to buy more raw materials. It means you will be able to produce more. So this is a welcome development for nano business especially. And what the president rolled out is not just for nano businesses. The other category of businesses, the micro, the small, still have the opportunity of getting loans at single digits. Prior to this announcement, the president of NASME is here. SMEs find it very difficult to access funds. And then when they do access, the interest they pay ranges between 20 and 30%. Even when they take funds from microfinance institutions, they even pay more because they pay daily or weekly. Some of them don't know that they are paying up to 30, 40%. So this is a welcome development and is going to signal very rapid growth for that sector of the economy. And it may interest you to know that nano businesses constitute no less than 90% of MSMEs in Nigeria because they are the one-man businesses that we see around the streets. They are the ones that are employing themselves or just one person. If you go to the marketplace, you will find out that over 90% of those people you see in the markets are nano businesses. Because by our statistics, those that are in retail business constitute a larger number of the so-called nano, small, and medium enterprises that we have. These are people that just do buying and selling. The people in manufacturing are not as many as them. So this will really, it would really impact positively on nano business development.
Okay, let me also look at it from the investment eye view. And I'd like Mr. Bunna Okoko to do the analysis and evaluation for us. First of all, break down nano businesses, so that people will really understand what are nano businesses and why should government now focus. This is the first time we are having a direct policy directed at this group of people. Why should that, what is the nexus between nano business operators and the economy of Nigeria?
Okay, let me start by saying or trying to explain what I mean, trying to define nano businesses. These are like sole proprietorship, single man, one man business, like we would like to call them. These are artisans, these are barbers, these are people who provide that okpa woman who comes to a particular market every morning to provide okpa for the traders. These are small businesses. Now, and just like the Smith and MD, DG just said, they are the highest employers of labor in any economy, not just in Nigeria, everywhere in the world, India, China, you find them everywhere. Now, if a government decides to distill and then provide a blend of a product, a financial product for them, it means that the government is actually thinking well, because a growth that you see in that ecosystem affects every other aspect of the economy, because they are the ones who provide the support that you need for the raw material for the bigger industries. They are the ones who would help you, sustain, the smaller ecosystem that will support the bigger system. So pretty much the real problem is being able to get them together, put them in a sect where you can actually provide investment towards them. So generally speaking, major investors really don't go to them. So what happens most of the time is the government, the stakeholders in any economy are the ones who provide the support. So what then happens is there's a particular area which a lot of people actually overlook, especially when it has to do in a country like Nigeria. Now, they can actually, that's what I call a barter system that can actually exist between them and the government when it comes to security, because they are everywhere. So they have information. So when I see them chase them around in Abuja, I said, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. You don't understand what these people do, what you can use them for. National security advisor of the president can actually use them for information gathering. Because for that woman who provides Okpa in Beggar roundabout, for example, she knows every single person she sells to every day. If you provide her with a telephone line, she will be able to give you information, and at the same time, you have made them bankable, because with that, you have also been able to hook them onto your banking system, which is one of the problems you're going to be solving at the end of the day.
Is this what they need at this time?
Of course, these are the kind of support that you should provide for them so that they will be able to grow. Because some of them are not bankable because, one, they don't have a well-trailed financial system that they can hook onto. But with that, where they are providing service for you as a government, when it comes to national security, you are providing something for them, and they are providing something for you too. So they are gathering information for you, and then you're supporting their business. So for me, this whole attempt, for me, is just the beginning. There's so much that we can do. There's still philanthropic capital that we need to actually attract towards that. But getting proper investors into that sector is very difficult.
Okay, Okoku, thank you very much. Let's bring in now the president of the Association of Small and Medium Scale Enterprises. And I want to ask my first question again, whether it's another deja vu that we are faced with. This is not the first time this is happening. I cited the example of the measures that were taken to seek to get us out of the economic recession in 2016, first one, and then the second one again induced by COVID. What was the experience of your members? Because they were not out of the circle of the beneficiaries of the plenitude of attempts, as well as incentives provided by government to ensure that they got out of it. What was their experience like?
Well, their experiences are many, but among the experiences are the fact that when government is giving out this money, they give it out through state governments, local governments, chairmen, and those ones, they patronize only their supporters, politicians. Most of the time, this is where the problem is. Now, what we are now saying is that, again, is that when you give them money with 9% interest, when you have some other products that are non-interest, to us, we believe that the most effective way is this money allocated to MSMEs. Let us know where the money is. We advise where the money should be taken to, so that our members can access this money. Because if you give them, if they are to buy a grinding machine, how much is a grinding machine? And you are only talking about transportation. You are not talking about power. 68% of MSMEs died as a result of power issue, lack of power. So, and when you talk about energy, you are not talking about transportation alone. You are also talking about power. This CNG they talk about, everyday CNG. CNG is for the rich. It's not for MSMEs. How much is the cost of conversion? How much is the cost of a generator that will run on CNG? These are the questions we need to ask. So to us, when disbursing the money, they should come to us so that together with the SMEs, you can have the database of those who access the money and then be able to monitor, evaluate and monitor after disbursement.
When you were having instances of political patronage in the administration of previous efforts, did you make your concerns known to the authorities or to the coordinators of those ideas? Because we kept hearing about what was going on, XYZ, and there seem to be little complaints, except, of course, with farmers and farming, where they said that money was going to so-called, in their views, political farmers. But for MSMEs, what happened so that we don't run into the same challenges on this occasion?
What happened is advocacy is what is happening now. We have started talking. We are going to continue to talk, and that is what we can do. Nobody can do anything to government, you know. But the only thing we can is to continue to talk, and that is what we are doing now. And that is why I'm here today, to continue to talk. So
Okay,
that people will know.
Dr. Yarima.
Yes, what can you do? The government is government.
Don't worry.
Government, we are state, we are federal government.
Yes, okay. Let me ask you, so that you can talk more on this. When you heard the announcement, when the president made that broadcast and announced 125 billion naira for the MSMEs, how did you receive it, first of all?
Mix. One, I was happy that at least now there is something that we can look up to, and we probably, if we work very hard, that it will get to our real MSMEs, those who are providing jobs, like all of them have said. And then it is that, I hope it will not go the other way. Or they will say 125 billion, but what at the end of the day will be disbursed will be maybe less than that. Which it has happened and that was what happened. They will say 125 billion. Then when you look at what was disbursed, you see that it's less than that. So this is a major problem again for us. Yes, that is why we are saying that, okay, you are giving us 125 billion, thank you. At least this is a meal of human kindness. Then where is the money? Then we tell you where we want you to put the money. And also those who are to access it should belong to one of us, one of the associations, so that at least we can measure what is the impact of after the disbursement. So
what's the percentage of nano businesses, within your association?
The percentage of nano businesses within our association is about 40%.
40%.
40%.
That's it.
Okay, all right, thanks. We'll come to you. Let's bring in now the Executive Director of Export Promotion Council. Your focus, of course, is clear, narrow, but also very wide. And in terms of seeking to revitalize MSMEs or energize MSMEs, what is it that you will be looking at, or you would expect for those who have a focus on the export market? Is it just everybody, some 40 million plus, everybody get the money and then we run into the same challenges of poor quality produce?
Okay, thank you very much. Like you said earlier on, I want to respond to what you said. You asked earlier on. It's not a deja vu, as usual, because we've had an experience in Nigerian Export Promotion Council. Because of the COVID-19 that have been mentioned, a special grant was given to us targeted at the non-oil export sector in 2021. And that grant was disbursed. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council did not unilaterally disburse that grant. We involved other agencies. We involved the private sector. A committee was set with the private sector, and it was transparent. A platform was created. People applied, and people were given that grant. So, and the question one may ask is, so the grant was given. What was the impact of the grant? Now, the impact can be seen in the non-oil export performance of 2022. Like I said, the grant was given in 2021. By 2022, our non-oil export performance shot to $4.8 billion US, with about 214 products being exported to over 100 countries. What that means, sir, is that the effect of that grant was seen on the economy and on the non-oil export sector. And that, to us, is a cheering news. And that's why when I saw the report, when I saw the President read his address, I was elated, because the area I was more interested was the fact that 1 billion naira was to be given to 75 different manufacturers at a single digit and which is very good. Because if you have one manufacturer, if you can revive one manufacturer producing products, what that means is that we're going to have improved products, we're going to generate employment, they may likely export, we're going to get forex, and we'll have a better product, and our product will be competitive in the international market. So I don't think it's not business as usual if we know how to implement this. I need to say that government bring in programs from programs, but the problem is implementation. Who implements it? We are the one implementing it. You don't expect President Tinubu to be in maybe SMEDAN or NEPC or any other government organization to implement these policies. We are the one implementing it. So I think the issue is implementation. Once these projects are brought up and well implemented, it will have a positive effect on the economy, just like the case of the grant that was given to us in 2021.
I just have a follow-up for you. You listened to the president of the Association of MSMEs. And then you just said now the utilization of the grant that was given for export promotion purposes.
Yes, please.
Is it, for instance, that, say, the so-called nano and micro business players are more susceptible to the kind of political intrusion which the president was referring to? I'm talking about the president of the association, that to slightly more formally organized players in the MSME band that you deal with?
Yes, it's a bit different. It's different in the sense that for you to export, that's what the law says, our regulations before you export, you must be registered as a limited liability company with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And of course, you come and register with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. I don't see any nano business or entrepreneur coming or even registered. From what has been described, they are the people by the side. So that actually automatically exclude them, and that is the fact of the matter. So our own is a bit more formal, more structured, because you can appreciate that from the fact that our target is to reach the international market. It can't be nano. To a large extent, to be fair, it can't be micro. Sometimes, yes, we encourage micro. We have various programs to encourage them. We have what we call the Go Global, Go Certification Program to encourage the micro. And what we do in that program, what we do is to identify a program that is good and invite various international bodies to look at that product and certify that product. The essence is to avoid or curtail cases of rejection of our products. And so we do that, and of course we paid off all the fees associated with that certification. So these are some of the things we do to help them. And of course, the DG of SMEDAN is here, micro enterprises that are interested in non-oil export. What we do sometimes also is to take them to various international trade fairs, deliberately pick their products, encourage them, look at the products, encourage them, and make sure the products are well packaged, and take them to various international trade fairs. And when we take them to those trade fairs, we give them 50% rebate of the airfare. We give them free transportation there, free the stall or the exhibition booths. We make it free. They don't pay a kobo. And where those countries require an interpreter, we pay for the cost of interpreter free. As a matter of fact, last year, myself and the DG SMEDAN, we collaborated for the first time. It was an interagency collaborated, and we took those micro and small enterprises to Gambia. And that was the first solo exhibition we had in Gambia. It was very successful. We got the whole place, and we took them there. And the response was very good. And a lot of orders were generated. As a matter of fact, a Nigerian security firm was given a job to supply security equipment to the Gambian authorities right there. So these are some of the things we are doing in NAPC to encourage those kind of small businesses.
Dr. Extra, I'm still going to stay with you. And that's because when the president mentioned the amount to be disposed to the nano, businesses, like he said, he received, Dr. Yerima said he received the news with, mixed feelings. And he's also told us that these same nano businesses make up 40% of his association of Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency, so the agency, that also gives us an idea of the export capacity of this agency, of this association. Yes, I was actually reading Smith. Dr. Yerima is of Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. So that gives us an idea of your capacity to export, and your business is to promote, goods, exportable goods. So obviously this money is a drop in the ocean. What can be done, for instance, like the Okpa woman, the woman who says the Okpa delicacy, in front of the police headquarters in Abuja. It's a delicacy that is common to every tribe. I see everybody seem to like that. What can be done to such?
We don't eat it in my place.
You don't eat it. Maybe it's just you.
No,
it's just you, Kingsley.
We don't eat it in my place.
Kingsley, it's just you. You don't have
what
to eat it.
What is the base of Okpa?
Kingsley, you don't have to eat it.
It's a
delicacy that is common.
I will tell you what we eat in our place. We eat a kusu in my place.
A kusu could also be a variety of
we eat momo.
Okay. Momo is another variety. But what can be done? Don't distract me, Kingsley. What can be done to such a person to enable her develop, her trade, to the level of that will meet your specification for export?
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. And well, Kingsley, sir, whether it's Okpa or any other this thing, as long as
Ekusu is corn based.
Okay.
Moimo is used from beans.
Okay. Whether Okpa.
And then a mieke that my grandmom used to make.
Okay, Mr. Kingsley, sir, whether it's Okpa, Ekusu or Kuli, as long as the Nigerian product, we promote it, and we promote it to an exportable product. So back to your question, the Okpa woman, what's her vision? What does she want to do? Because that's where you start. It's a mindset. If the mindset is right, everything is right. If the mindset is not right, no matter what you push in there, nothing will come out of it. So what does she want? What is her ambition? What is she looking at? What is her vision?
Ambition is to grow.
Now,
ambition is to grow to a level,
anybody,
not just for sustenance, not just to,
now, we've had cases of people with that kind of ambition, with nano businesses. We transform them to international businesses. Let me give you one example. There's a gentleman that came to our office, which we promoted. What is his product? Suya. And you would think suya, what is suya? But he has exported suya to 30 different countries. 30 different countries. Suya. And it's one of our exporters that we're so proud of. By the way, we also paid, he had issues with the certification because suya is a food item. There are some things must get basic certification, because if it's food, just like you get from NAFDAC, if it's food, if you get some certification like the hazard analysis and critical control point that has to do with processes, and we get certification like halal, that it is allowed. So we got those certification for him, and the man has gone to 30 different countries. So if your mindset is right, if you are willing to work, if you are willing to export, you come to NEPC. You could be nano, you could be micro, with your product, with the kind of product you have, but with your mindset right, we're going to promote you.
Okay, Dr. Ezra, thank you very much there for the explanation you've provided. Well, we've kept our guest in Lagos for quite a while, Professor Olalekon, Professor of Entrepreneurship and E-Business. Prof, let's have your helicopter view of the measures announced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with particular focus on MSMEs, which of course the other guests have spoken about.
Okay, thank you for giving me these opportunities to speak with Nigerians. And I will go beyond the helicopter this time around, because we are feeling the impact of these situations more than any person. Being in the educational industry, being a consultant to firms, it has gone beyond and be on the street as well, because we are all we practice what we also teach in the class. I'm glad with all what I've heard from all the contributors there. I've seen where they have talked spiritually by saying the truth. I've listened to some, I've seen technical discussion in this program this morning. I've also seen the sincerity of purpose, especially on the people, some contributor there, that despite the fact that we always believe that he who pays the piper dictates the tune, but the person was so sincere to say the truth. So I really appreciate every contributor before my own contribution. There are key words I just want to reanalyze and to visualize more for us. A speaker talk about mindset, very, very important. A speaker talk about nano, which is a concept we are discussing. Also, it has come up from you that you are an interviewer and we that we are giving contributions. We need to clarify issues here. First and foremost, the President of Nigeria made pronouncement, and I'm glad when you started this program this morning, you talk about the past, and we are discussing the present. And when we were in school, 10Cs, the major 3 ones are past, present, and future 10Cs. For you to lay us this morning on the past, I'm so glad, because we'll be able to know where we are this morning now, these present situations. This present situation is not the first. It is not the last. I'm very sure of this. It will never be the last. But we can be able to do the meaningful things in order to safeguard the future. Among all people that you invited today, I think I should be the youngest person among them. And my background and every person's background differs in terms of where do you come from, which is our past. The president today is not in my generation, and he has spoken well by pronouncing what he wants to do. That answers what I want to offer Nigerians. That is what, out of the 6 Ws that we have, that is what. So what you want, the government want to offer, the president want to offer, the Nigerian government want to offer the citizens, is very clear now. That is what. But beyond what, the one that is more significant to we that we are practitioners and educators is how. I've had some contributor telling us about what of the implementation. We are talking about how now. I'm sincerely telling you, spiritually, intellectually, telling us that our implementation in Nigeria has been poor. We don't have implementation. Talk less of going into M&E, monitoring and evaluation. It's so sad that at this situation we are, with all crops of intellectuals we have in Nigeria, we are still running policies in such a way that we are failing from policies. I have been a licensing officer between my university and Central Bank of Nigeria, then when I was director of Entrepreneurship Center. Unfortunately, the implementation is poor. I stand to be corrected, and I stand to be anybody that can challenge me. Implementation in Nigeria is the poorest thing. It's the step that we know about. Nigeria, we have policies. We have moved around. I don't think I have less than three states I've never been to. In Nigeria, I've been to 33 states out of 36. Our implementation is so poor because we lack sincerity of purpose. At the grassroots, it's nonsense. At the state level, it's not something that we are willing. It's not something we are so sad about to be talking about issues like this, that issue of removal of subsidy, and then it turns to insecurity, it turns to so many dimensions. People are crying, people are so sad. What is so important? This is less than 1,000 naira per liter. When Nigeria has a product that is 12,000 naira per liter today. I'm talking of castor oil. It's in our premises. Nobody cares about this. Let me go straight to the point now. Yes, Nigeria, we have what is on the table. Then how is it going to be? I am of opinion that if Nigeria is serious about this, the government really wants it to work. We have illustrations. We have things that have happened. Let's go back to palliative. where we succeed, the program succeeded in Nigeria. We have them on record. I'm not saying, I'm not being, you can trace palliative to my local government in Offa. How palliative measures was able to be managed, and we have 100% success rate, because it comes to the table of who is the Oba, and the Oba laid the process by calling all the Anguas. In Yoruba we call Bale. We have the Bale. All Bale were invited to the palace. This is what is on the table. Who are vulnerables? Who are people that should be exonerated from this palliative? And the word palliative, I think we should take a caution now. It's not palliative Nigeria really need. We need curative measures. We should change this, because our names speak a lot. Whatever we call a program, we follow it suit. What is palliative? It's just to treat the symptoms, and the cause will still remain with you. We should be sincere in whatever we are doing now. Starting from name, I wish we should expunge the words palliative now. We should go into something curative measures. So then Oba called the ballets, and he used the people on the ballets to go and identify who needs it. This comes to another concept I want to talk about. We recorded successful outing in palliative in our local government, and I'm saying it with everybody can go and check the MIE report of palliative. Every other where we succeeded, they should also make it advocate program that people will see how things are being done. But I want to now talk about needs. Nigeria, we talk about 50,000. At a time, we are talking about 80,000. Is that our need? How can we turn this money to our needs? Because as far as I'm talking about my understanding about entrepreneurship, it's all about needs. It's not about wants. Currency differs from money. When we are talking about 8,000, 50,000, 5 million, we are talking of currencies. We are not talking of the value of the money. We need to convert this currency, this amount we are pronouncing, into what Nigeria really needs. I am telling you, we have 6M. It's a basic knowledge in management. Where we have money, they pronounce it. We have men, we have machines. Some of these people we are talking about that we want to support, somebody is talking about upgrading them from nano or from solo to medium or to small enterprises. Then this is a word of conscious intellectual speech. How do we convert these people? They are vulnerable as they are doing solo. Some of them are kidnappers, kidnap them, rape them, kill them. Is this what we in Nigeria will be saying we are to support them with money? Is that what they need? We have what we call clusters. We have what we call cluster. Cluster these people into groups of people. In Minna, I reside in Minna since 2006. I want to give you an example of kulikuli. The woman that is producing very close to our neighbors in Minna exports kulikuli, and he has so many solos that are carrying this kulikuli to different markets. This makes sense that somebody to be producing every morning. What of the day you are sick? That means you are not feeding your family. Let's do something strategic alliance in this case. My point is that I want Nigerian government with all sense of responsibility and all sense of transparency. Knowledge economy has come to stay. People that really know what to offer, how to do it, should come on board this time around, so that we Nigeria we can stop issue of palliative and talk about curative measures. When we're able to get curative measures in, people can stand. As a student, I school through Nigeria. I was sponsored to Malaysia. When I got to Malaysia, I cried. Several days I will be crying. Why is it that it takes me too long to know this about this economy? I did my PhD on artisans, with focus group on artisans. You'll be asking them, why you don't want to go to school? They will tell you again, why did I need to go to school? Why did I need to go to school? What is it that the educated people are doing they cannot do? These are artisans. Because they are supported sincerely. and there's transparency in what they are doing. Everybody, you are entitled to housing, whether you are artisans, whether you are working in government parastatals, whether you are from public or private. There are things to be generalized. This is what they need. It's not 50,000.
Professor Laleko, thank you. You touched on the issue of needs. You asked whether this is what this group of businessmen and women need at this time. I think I also asked that question initially, but let me come to back to the studio here, and I want to bring in my brother Ogbonna, to look at the value of the 50,000 naira that these nano businesses will be given each in 774 local government areas, and there are over about 1,300 of them. Now, if you look at, say, for instance, maybe a hairdresser, for instance, so you makes use of the generator to power, has a small salon, makeshift salon, and he or she buys maybe 10 liters of petrol to power the generator. That's about 6,400, going by the 640. Now, and she does that 3 times a week. Let's say 6,000 times, that's about over 20,000.
Yeah.
And in a month, if you multiply that, that certainly is more than 50,000 naira it's going to get. Now, my question is, what is expected of these people? What are they supposed to do with this 50,000 naira? What would be the value that this 50,000 naira will bring? And is this supposed to be a one-off thing?
No, for me, that's why I'm always very interested in, a sustainable program. In the sense that, for me, this is a starting point. When you start from here, then stakeholders will be called together to design products that will support going forward. I mentioned the philanthropic capital, the NGOs, they are well-to-do people in the society who don't know how to dispense, the excesses that they have. And you can also make people actually contribute towards the support that these people require. Now, then again, it's also important for me to mention that for the first time, I'll give you a very simple example. There was a time, I think it was 2015, that this kind of money was, 220 billion was provided for MSMEs. Guess what? I went into the books of the Central Bank of Nigeria. That money was given out really, but to about 205 companies. So what that simply means that the money was given to the higher companies. So for the first time, there's now a product designed for those who don't, because I mean, when you look at their risk, the risk of lending to them is really high. So it's only things like grants that can actually fit them, angel investors, the philanthropic funds, so that the kind of funds that can go to them. Now, how do you actually arrive at getting them? So before that, I want to actually say the value of that fund is really, it's going to be very huge to them, because the cost of living has gone up, because they are the ones that are really, they actually pay more, because their margins are very tiny, because whether you like it or not, everything that happens around them, the cost is actually, it burns them more. So they want to look for a way to push it to the consumers. So this will actually help, ameliorate, stop them from actually pushing the cost to the consumers. And because, the people that they cater for are also the poor. So within that, their ecosystem and their circle, you need to actually see how you can reduce poverty. So that's how this money is going to be important to them. So for me, I know the issue of how do we arrive at who will get this money. It's very important for us to use established systems. Now we have the association, which I'm still worried. Maybe after the program, I'll discuss with the head of the association how they were able to get those members who sell colloquially on the road, how they registered and all of that. But I still think that it's something that they use, this contribution, they do daily contribution. Those companies that do those, the Ajo and do those daily contributions, those companies that do those things are the people we should approach now. Let's know the people that contribute and how much they contribute. That will be a channel for you to find those who will need this money and those who will be able to pay back this money, because they already have a system that works and a culture that works. So these are the kind of things that they use in India and Chile that actually works. So for me, like I said, after the program I can discuss with him, but not on air now. But these are things that we must make sure that we take advantage of and then build a better society. And then lastly, please, let's have a stakeholder roundtable. Stakeholder, I mean, the commercial banks have to find a way to design products that will support these people. Well-to-do Nigerians have to do that, and then we need to think of what to do. Because I mean, let's x-ray the government. Where are the places where funds go out from government? I mean, outside this whole, outside the oil sector, they are contractors. There has to be a well-designed, structured program where you make contractors contribute to either SMEs activity or what the Export Processing Council is doing. These are things that you can design, and because it's an industrialization program.
Another layer of taxation, maybe?
Not taxation, sir. Not taxation, sir. It's not taxation. It's a support system.
Oh, I see. Another set of levies.
I prefer to call it a levy, but I mean, you and I, when I grew up in the East, we built the Imo airport with levies, and today the airport is standing.
That's right. I cleared off the palm trees that were there, so we don't have palm oil again coming from Imo. But I was just going to say that, I'm sorry for interjecting.
It's okay.
Because we have had a conversation. One of President Tinubu's goal is to eliminate multiplicity of taxes and levies. We dealt with that.
Yeah.
And some of the experts, I remember one of the experts sitting where you sat, they said, look, one of the challenges that companies have in putting their books together has to do with the multiple agencies that they have to relate with and take care of the embedded taxation or levies in their establishing statutes. Yeah. But you've raised some very important points, more particularly the identifiers of the MSMEs or even nano businesses. Sometimes we assume that the one-man business is unorganized. I'm sure the association president is here. A guy who's a vulcanizer, he belongs to an association. Mm-hmm. And he would not charge a rate lower than what is prescribed by his association. Those okpa sellers you refer to also have a union, as it were. It could be an informal union. You see them, sometimes somebody will come around, maybe that with a receipt or a notebook, and they bring out money from their pocket and give to that individual. I don't know whether it's protection racketeering or whether it's levy or a susu or otherwise. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll continue with our guests. All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's bring in now the Director General of SMEDAN. That's Mr. Olawale Fasanya. Mr. Olawale Fasanya, you've listened again to the contributions from the other guests. Weighing on this, what in your thinking is the appropriate implementation strategy for what we've been talking about, so that we don't run into the same hiccups that we had in the past, and more particularly, we get away with the misconception that this is another round of national cake to share?
Yeah, thank you very much. One, I need to lay some background, because I think most of the questions that went to Ogbonna, maybe because you're a regular guest, should have been I should have been asked those questions.
You can still respond.
Yes, that's what I want to do. Yes. We need to understand how we came about nano business. Because either to about 2 years ago, all we hear is a micro, small, and medium. But being in the field, we find out that attention is not being given to these tiny businesses. Nobody is looking at them. We just subsume them as micro. A micro business is somebody employing 9 people. So when she gave the example of a hairdresser is not even a nano business, because you cannot do hairdressing alone. You will have 2 or 3 apprentices. So nano businesses are those people that are in retail, that are doing okpa, like he said, and all that, that are just one man who wakes up in the morning, maybe cook and takes to the market, not employing any other person, or at most employing one person. And we have done the survey this category of people, their capital base is not more than 20, 30,000. That is those that can even have up to that. Some are just turning over 10,000 every day. They go to the market with 5,000 naira, 10,000. They buy from the tomato seller, they resell. So the nano businesses are now segregated from micro. We came up with that demography so that we can give them attention. Now government is trying to give attention to those people. We look at 50,000 as small money. I'm telling you, that woman there that is producing kunu is not spending more than 10,000 to buy the millet that or whatever she uses to produce that kunu. So by the time that person gets 50,000, it means he will be able to buy more millet. He will be able to buy more market, and then you have this multiplier effect for the person selling to will increase. So we're just looking at it like that. And I don't agree with the president of NASME that they are just 40%. By our statistics, we're not just talking. We did a survey with MBS. We know that over 90% of those in small business are nano businesses. And they are the ones sustaining the economy because they are not affected by economic shocks. So these people, they just turn around that small money that they have and they stay in business. They are just living. They are not maybe increasing their living standard and all that. But when you give them 50,000, I'll give you an example. And I used to give this example that, okay, I went somewhere at UTC to repair my watch, and I could smell this nice food. I told my driver, I said, look, I want you to buy from that woman selling by the street. And I tasted the food very nice. So I bought, and I asked the woman, now why is it that you're only selling beef? Why don't you put fish? Some of us don't eat beef. She said, well, our capital base is 20,000. She cannot afford to buy fish. So she wakes up at 4 a.m., cook between 4 and 5, come to the market at 6, and by 8 she's back home. So okay, how much do you need so that you can include fish? So well, if she sees another 20,000, I gave her 30,000. So I went back again to buy food. She didn't want to take money. I said, no, you have to take money or else I won't come here again. So I stopped going. 6 months after, I asked my driver to go there. The woman had employed one person. She has started, cooking by one side at the UTC. So that 30,000 changed her life. So she now collected my number and was, full of praises. That 30,000 you gave me that day has changed my business. Now,
sorry to interject. How do you, because I was trying to process it, how do you mean that these nano businesses are not affected by economic shocks?
Most of the time, economic shocks affect big businesses. When there is the global economic shock, they are still in business because they produce little. They buy that. This is based on scientific. It's not just my own saying. We've done a lot of stuff. We've been in the field.
I think the shock. By the time it gets to them, yes, the shock would have actually been absorbed by others. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. And most of the time, we just sit in our different offices. We don't know what is going on out there. During the Survivor Fund, I was part of it. And I know a number of Nigerians benefited. They won't come out to tell you. We've been doing this conditional grant scheme. We have been to different local governments. We have the list. But Nigerians will not tell you. Last year when we were reviewing it, I was at the National Assembly. Then they took our data and called somebody in Akwa Ibom. Did you get the 50,000 conditional grant scheme from one rural place? And then he denied that he did not get. And I said, I called GTB because we disburse this money through banks because we want to make them bankable. Because we need to know that giving out this money is not just cash, it's not to dash them. We also want to move them from informality to formality. So we are going to register business names for them so they now have an identity. So they become bankable. So I called GTB. GTB gave us the time, he collected the money and everything, and then we confronted him. He said he's sorry that he has forgotten that he got 50,000.
But how did we arrive at the number of 1,300 of them? Because
the money that government wants to spend is 50 billion. And then that 50 billion, the president said will go to 1 million nano businesses. So we now use that 1 million, we divided it by the number of local governments. So we arrive at roughly 1,300 per local government, so that it will be evenly distributed. And what do we intend to do? We intend to go to the marketplace. We intend to go to associations Like you said, so these people, these small businesses, they have watertight associations. Association of Vulcanizers, Association of Tomato Sellers, Association. We are going to deal with them. So we'll put a face to who is getting the money. And it's not cash. We are already having meetings, looking at the logistics of it getting to the real rural area where there are no banks. So we are likely to also use fintech. We are likely to put some in VAF cards so that you can now go to your POS within your community and collect the money. So it's not something that...
Yes.
DG,
Yes.
Thanks a lot for your explanation. I just want to throw this in terms of targeting. I'm happy you talked about the rice seller that you encountered. On Good Morning Nigeria, I have raised the issue of what I label Nigeria's breakfast economy in major urban centers. This morning, there are persons who would have, by 9 o'clock, they probably will be closing up. They would have prepared their akara, sold their pap, others would have sold the Indomie or whatever it is. Oftentimes, they operate for just a couple of hours. And then they close. When you get there by 10 o'clock, they say, no, it's finished. And then the small bucket, let's say the size of a paint drum that they use, you ask, why don't you purchase more beans so that you have higher turnover, you have more volume and more turnover? They say, no, nothing else for us to do. If you were to target, for instance, participants in Nigeria's breakfast economy in major cities throughout the country, I'm sure you are likely to find a more engaging thing, because the person who is preparing akara needs beans. The bean seller will also be there. Those who are supplying
oil seller.
The granite oil. And then the person who is preparing the akara actually is not a sole business. You have either a child who is helping the person or another person, another one is bringing pepper that they use, and so on and so forth. So can we have this kind of, I'm not suggesting that you do, but this kind of targeting, rather than just a plain number of 1,300.
No, those are the people we are targeting. We are going to profile them. We are going to ask questions. We've done this in the past, and you will see some people come in, they look like when you get the money, they will go and drink ogogoro. We won't give such people. It's going to be physical. We will go to the rural area. We have forms. We have questions to ask them. We need to know, what business are you doing? What are you turning over every day? What we know, those that we not get. Are
you intending to generate another? Because Kingsley, the 5,000 naira that is being distributed to the poorest of the poor is based on a certain register, a register that was developed from data scientifically compiled. Are you also going to use that same format, or are you just assuming, or are you going to involve the representatives to actually determine who benefits, because these are the people closer to the grassroots?
No, I've told you that we are going to physically go to the local governments. We are going to get people profiled.
Do you have the capacity to do that?
We are going to co-opt people. We are going to get other people to assist us. We are in all the 36 states. We already have some. But what we have been doing, we've not done more than 100 per local government because of the funds that we have. Now the federal government has announced 50 billion. And then we will now rely on our experience. We've gone to the 774 local governments in the past 3 years. We're just about starting a new round. So with this, we already have basics. And I'm telling you, it's not about man, no man. We know the political talks, we know those ones. When they come out, when you even accept somebody, you know this is not the person that needs 50,000. And that's why I told you, we'll go to the marketplace.
Are you therefore the implementing agency for this?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And if you are, what do you have in terms of, or what will you have rather, in terms of monitoring and evaluation?
Oh, that's the impact. As I'm telling you, we've done the impact assessment of the one we have been doing at our level before this is that is now going national. And based on the impact assessment, we already know the gaps. So we are going to fill those gaps.
Namely?
Well, initially when we started, most of the commercial banks, we find out that they don't have the capacity because they don't have branches in some of these local governments. So based on our experience, we are now looking at a combination of different means of getting the money across to these people. We use a combination of commercial bank microfinance institutions. In some places, we just load VAF cards and then we are going to give them. And like I said, we want to have their identity so that we also give them some level of sensitization before they even get the money. And all this we are doing seamlessly. So it's a well thought out program. And that's why I don't want us to confuse a nano business with a micro business. And that is why for the micro business, they are the ones that are being targeted to take loan.
Yes.
So we shouldn't mix the idea of loan with the grant.
So the grant is for nano.
The grant is for nano. It is free money for them. But it must be people that is already doing one form of trading, because most of them are in retail.
Okay,
they are not in manufacturing.
That's right. Please, very quickly, because we're trying to get the closing thoughts of the other guests. What, if you had any evaluation, what happened to all the trader money that people were being given and so on and so forth? Since these are
well, we didn't handle trader money or JIP, but we know that a number of our constituents benefited. And trader money, JIP, all those ones were some kind of loan, which they are now recovering. I think Bank of Industry did the disbursement for that. But for the grants that we have been doing, we have the list. We have those people that have benefited. If you want to see them and then maybe randomly call some of them that are in different areas, whether they benefited, they will tell you. And we can get some of them to even come and share their experience. And the idea is, when we started this program, if you are able to manage 50,000 well, it means you cannot get a loan of 100,000. You cannot get a loan of 200,000. But I also want to send the president of NASME to some of our SMEs. Most Nigerians that are in small business, once government is involved and they get any form of loan, they don't want to pay back. So we also need to look at that side. Okay, and it's discouraging government.
Okay, DJ, thank you. Let's quickly bring in Engineer Yerima. I'd like for you to quickly, in few minutes, respond to some of the things. He has said there is a template, for determining, for disbursement. I want to believe you're aware of that template, and your association is working closely with Smeden.
Yes. Yeah.
He is dealing with more small businesses than
No. When you are talking, I didn't talk. When you are talking, I didn't say anything.
He said he has 40% of nano.
No, they are more than that.
No. You also did not understand what I said was that in our own association, I'm not talking about the country.
Yes.
About in our own association, in our own membership database. 40%.
Oh, that's all right.
Nano. So then the remaining ones, you now have the micro, small, and medium. That is what I said. So I hope.
So in terms of disbursement, you heard what he said.
Yeah, in terms of disbursement, some of our members got the money. The previous ones they did, and the method for the disbursement is very good. And what we are just saying is that they should increase the numbers. That the numbers are to 1,300. In a local government of, like my local government, Nasara local government, we are about 11 million. When you now give 1,300, you see what it is. And so they should look at it this way, that there are some local governments that have a large population, they should increase the numbers. Then those with small population, then.
Kano State, for instance, are you going okay?
Yes, Kano State. I'm from Kano State. Nasara local government, you have the
Kano has more local government than some other states.
Yes. But what we're saying is that you should increase the numbers. Increase the numbers. When you increase the numbers, the impact will be more.
So at the end of the day, if you aggregate what Kano will get, the 1,000 in the different local governments, since they have about 40 or so local governments, so it will be more than 2-3 states put together.
Unfortunately, you don't have branches of commercial banks in all of the local governments in Kano. We understand there are at least, hang on a second please, there are about 16. We understand there are about 16 local governments in Kano that don't have branches of commercial banks. This was the fact that came out earlier in the year during the cash squeeze, and then of course an issue. But I think we can discuss that outside of the program. Let's bring it very quickly, Dr. Ezra, to get his closing thoughts on this. Nano businesses are below your radar, obviously. Now, from what the DG Smithern is saying, where can you find the intersection for the kind of activities that you encourage and then you get those businesses to leverage upon in the mix of the measures that the president has announced for MSMEs and nano businesses in general, and recognizing, of course, once again, that nano businesses are off course for you?
Okay, thank you very much. Like you said, nano businesses are off our radar, but we liaise with Smithern. By the time they empower those nano business, they will move a step higher, and they come under our radar. That's what we do. But there's something I need to say here, that we are talking about the president's speech, but there's a document, the presidential initiative for agri-development. That document is also very key to both nano, micro, and small. Presidential initiative for agri-development. If you look at that document, which basically has to do with export through and generally agri-development, that document outlined 4 various important programs for agri-development. One is wheat development. The second one is a livestock transformation plan. The special agri-processing zones. Then the green imperative plan, then the family farm support program. The whole cumulative effect or purpose of that initiative is to ensure that Nigeria become the largest exporter of food in sub-Saharan Africa. And that document clearly stipulates that the intention also is to make sure that about 2 million Nigerians have direct employment, with 6 million Nigerians having indirect employment.
Dr. I will just allow you to give us a final sentence, please.
Final sentence: if this is well implemented, I am telling you, in the medium term, long term, Nigeria will be better for it. The economy will be better for it.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ezra Yakusak, we'd like to thank you, Executive Director, Nigerian Export Promotion Council. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Engineer Abdul Rashid Yerima, President, Chairman, Governing Council, Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. We'd like to thank you very much. Mr. Gbuna Okoko, Investment Promotion Expert, as always, thank you very much. And let me also thank, by the way, we don't ask questions based on familiarity, Gigi.
I was joking.
Yes, we just wanted him to explain something before we bring to you. Mr. Lawale Fashoya, Director General, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency, Smithern. We'd like to thank you very much, especially for the clarifications of the endorsement distribution templates. And from Lagos, our Lagos studio, we were joined by Professor of Entrepreneurship and E-Business Coordinator, Africa Innovative Program. Prof, we'd like to thank you. You raised 2 very vital issues, needs and disbursement, which the guests here took time to explain to us. And we want to say a very big thank you for finding time to join the program. All right.
All right. Well, Prof was still itching to say something. One of the guests was disputing the fact whether he was younger than Prof, because Prof claimed that he was the youngest on the panel. Well, that's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you for being with us. Join us again on Monday, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until then, enjoy your weekend, but look after yourselves. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdul Razaka. As I always tell you, we are here to fight rape and rapists, and would like for you to join in this campaign. From all of us here, GMN crew, have a pleasant weekend. Bye-bye.